Right, so here we are. I just received my order from Beckett. I've been waiting about 450 days for my order to come back, but it's finally here. And let's go through the order. I'm going to show you guys the cards, talk about the grades, talk about my thoughts on each card. I kind of set them into different bunches of cards that I think fall into kind of different collecting categories that I personally find myself in, that I enjoy collecting. Let's get started here with some of the good stuff, some of the more expensive items. These are the oldest cards that I got in my order, starting off here with Mox Diamond. So both got mint 9. For the subgrades on these, for myself personally, centering is the most important grade for me. That's just my personal taste. So I was really happy to get a 9.5 on the one on the left side. Yeah, that to me is the most important subgrade. And with perfect edges, the fact that it got an 8.5 on corners is not something that's particularly important to me personally. I know everybody has their own preferences, but that's just how I see the card and the grades on this one. But overall, 2 9s on the Mox Diamond. I think I did really well on these. I purchased these back in 2019 from a friend of mine who was just getting rid of some cards. I paid about $375 for the cards. So with the grading fee, I'm in about $400. So I think I did really well on these. And I think the future is bright for cards like this, cards from like that silver age, the Mox Diamond. It's such an iconic card, and finding it in good condition, really good condition, it's not that easy, and the prices continue to go up. But a few years ago, grading cards like this, was not really much of a thing, and I think it's going to get more popular as more people start to realize just how rare these actually are. Volcanic Island, another 9. A little off-centered on this one, but this artwork for me is like one of the most beautiful pieces of Magic art. I absolutely love it, and I happened to get one that was just in fantastic condition. I knew that it wasn't perfectly centered, but I love the card. I wanted to grade my own, and I felt like it would get a high grade. So having a Volcanic Island that you grade yourself and comes out so good, that kind of thing, I love it. Now, LED Lion's Eye Diamond. So we have an 8.5 here, perfectly centered. So it's a nice card. It presents really well. I don't think it carries that much of a premium, more than a just near mint card. But I think that it makes it easier to sell. There's a good market for these, and you'll generally get all of your money's worth on something like this. You will get the full price or more for the card, and I like that. For the grading fee, I feel like I like that, because if you just try to sell a raw Lion's Eye Diamond, the price you actually get, can vary a lot, especially if you're auctioning it off and what someone feels like the condition is. And this guy, I mean, this is just fantastic. Gold labeled gem mint Lion's Eye Diamond. On this one, perfectly centered. It's got 395 subgrades. Just really beautiful card. I actually have another 9.5 Lion's Eye Diamond, but I knew that this card was just in incredible condition, and even though I had one already, I wanted to have one that I graded myself. There's just something to be said, when you submit an order and you put cards that you love and that you've had for a while, or that you got a good deal on, or something like that, and it comes back like this. It's just a fantastic feeling, and this card really did it for me. Absolutely beautiful. Now, Another one of the great ones from this submission, Gaia's Cradle. We got a 9er and a 9/5. And this is just another card that I think the future is so bright for cards like this. I mean, this is such an iconic card. And it's just the raw power level, the collectability, the playability in so many formats. Like, you know, Commander, this card is an absolute house. And it's just one of those cards. I think the future is so bright for cards like this. I'm still buying them. I'm grading them. I love them. I think this will be my 4th and 5th Gaia's Cradle. I love the card. I love the art. I remember when this card came out, you know, from the day this card came out, this was just one of the most sought after cards. And to see the price appreciation over the last, you know, 23 years since this card came out. I mean, these cards are getting really old. And I think people are starting to realize that, and they're just getting more and more collectible. I love this card. Okay, so now we're going to get into a different category that I personally like a lot, and these are newer cards. These are the Kaladesh Inventions that were released in 2016. For me personally, these cards, I'll show a few of them. That's a Mox Opal 9/5, Crucible of Worlds 9/5. Absolutely beautiful art. The foiling, the border, it's just, gosh, I'll get into that. And then these guys, the 1, 2, 3 swords of that same Kaladesh Invention set. These cards for me, just in general, the Kaladesh Inventions, I think that these are some of the most beautiful Magic cards ever made. When you have one of these in your hand and you look at this, the foiling technique, the coloring, the border, it's just, it's not an Underground Sea. It's not a Mox. It's not a Mox Pearl or a Mox Ruby. But the Mox Opal and other Kaladesh Inventions are just, they're beautiful in their own way. And this is another just category in general that I think is going to age really well. I remember getting this card for like $150. At the time, it was an okay deal. It wasn't a fantastic deal by any means or anything. I got the card a few years ago, but look at the price on these now. I mean, it's just incredible, and I think people sometimes limit themselves when, you know, they only go after vintage cards or only reserve list cards. Like, I love vintage cards. I love reserve list cards too. But there's a lot of Magic made in the last, 10, 20 years that's just beautiful and special in its own way. And I think these are a great example of that. I remember, and these also kind of have like a personal spot with me. I remember I had taken a bit of a break from Magic for a while. It was a couple years. And I remember going back to FNM and sitting down, and somebody played one of these inventions. And I had never even seen them. I didn't know what they were. He dropped it down, and I was like, can I see that? And I picked the card up. It was this card, and I was just like, this is crazy. I couldn't even believe what I was looking at. And I look at these, the collection of swords. One of the things I want to do is I'd like to have a whole set of them eventually. This is not all of my Kaladesh Inventions. I actually have several others. But I wanted to grade all the swords myself. I don't know, it's just a personal thing. I think they're awesome. I want to grade them on my own. And yeah, the artwork, everything. Um, and all right. Here's a little sidetrack. The Kaladesh invention, Sword of Fire and Ice. This this was the first card that I ever purchased as a graded Magic card. Obviously, it's not this one. This is a different one. This is the one that I graded myself. But I remember seeing this card, this type of card, this Kaladesh invention card, at my local game store, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was on eBay. I got home and I was like, "What is that? I gotta see how much these are." I got home. I went on eBay and there was a PSA 8 Kaladesh invention, Sword of Fire and Ice. And I was like, at that time, I barely, I had heard of graded cards, but it was just like this thing that I didn't really, it was one of those things I never got too into it at that point. This was a while ago. And I was just like, I don't even know if I want this card to play with. I really didn't. I just wanted to have it. I just loved the art, and I felt like it was just a special type of card that I wanted, and I got it, and that was the first graded Magic card that I ever got. It's kind of a silly buy when I think about it now. But everybody has their way that they get interested in this stuff, in graded cards in particular. And that was it for me. So yeah, this sword, this Kaladesh invention thing, it really holds a special place for me. And that was a really popular time in Magic's history. The game, I loved Kaladesh. I think there was a lot of people who were playing Magic at that time, and I think that these cards are going to continue to be popular for collectors and people who play EDH, and they want the coolest, best version of cards. I mean, it does not get better than these Kaladesh inventions for these artifacts. They are so cool. So this is going to be a quick one. It's just a couple cards, and I want to talk about them from Fifth Dawn and Mirrodin. So this is the Crucible of Worlds and the Chrome Mox, both foil, both graded as a 9. And for me, like I said before, centering is the most important thing for me. And to have a 10 centering on both of them is just awesome. And then also another thing is these surface grades in particular. For older foils like this, they are hard to find in good condition. And so for me, like, the surface on a card like this is the most important thing after the centering for me. These foils can get cloudy. Old foils are notorious for that. So to have it actually come back as a 9 with a 9/5 surface, for me, that is awesome. And this is another type of card that I think people are starting to appreciate more. I remember getting this card for $37, and at that time, again, it was an okay deal. It was a pretty good deal, but the reason that I got it was because I recognized how good of condition the card was in, and it's just a stunning card. And this is another one that, when you don't, it kind of expand what you look at. This is a 2003 Mirrodin foil. Oh yeah, who grades a Mirrodin? Who grades a Mirrodin card? You know what? I do. I do. I think it's an awesome card. I love that it's perfectly centered. I love that it has a 9 surface. It's just the foiling technique on these cards from the Mirrodin block, the way that they did these foils, I mean, it is just beautiful. It's different. You know, not only is like we've seen a lot of beautiful cards, but it's just there's a lot of attention to detail, and it's a very unique art style and foiling technique. And this is another one. It's just like look at the price on these. You know, and there's not a lot available. I mean, go try to find an absolute mint Chrome Mox and see see how much you have to pay. It's crazy, and I think the future is bright for things like this, for cards like this. This card, you know, is this a new card? It really depends on your perspective. It's from 2003. That's not very new, you know, and you see that in the price of the card. It's appreciated really well, and I think that it's going to continue to do so. Crucible Worlds from Fifth Dawn, kind of the same thing. This is another one. This is not a very expensive card. The Chrome Mox is worth a lot more. This was another one where I had it. I loved the art, and I found one that was just in fantastic condition. I wanted the card. I wanted the card graded. I think it's awesome. But yeah, I do think the future is bright for these cards from that 2001 2003 era. I think people are starting to realize how rare these cards are to find in really good condition. All right, so this last category here, it's just going to be a few cards, and this might be the most controversial category here, but we're going to talk about new cards that I got graded, cards that were made actually pretty recently. First one here being the Great Henge. I got 2 copies graded. One came back as a quad 9++, and the other came back as an actual 9.5. Gold label, gem mint, absolutely beautiful. This is the extended art foil version of the Great Henge, and why I got this card graded. The art. I think that this is just one of those instant classic type cards. The artwork is so beautiful. The foiling technique with the portal. It's just a stunning card to look at, and just the raw power level of the card. It's an extremely popular card. You know, this is the type of card. You know, it's from 2019. It's not an old card. It's not, at this point in time, it's not an old card. But these are the kinds of cards that I think we're going to look back on in 5-10 years. You know, in 2030, is this going to be a new card? No, it's not. It's going to be the cards that we look at now that are 10, 15, 20 years old, that you start to appreciate a lot more. And I think that Throne of Eldraine, the Magic set in general, was a big step in Magic. I mean, it was definitely a controversial set, but this is the beginning of the collector box, the first Magic the Gathering collector box. It started here, and those types of firsts for Magic, I think, are going to age really well. And look at this card in particular. Look at the price of this card. Pull up the price of this card since it came out. And I know it's only been printed once, and Wizards can reprint it at any time. Sure, you're right, they can. But what about Chrome Mox? How many times has Chrome Mox been reprinted? It's been reprinted a bunch of times. That didn't stop this card from aging extremely well, because it's unique, it's beautiful, and it's from it's from a special time in Magic's history. And I think that cards like this are going to age really well. And I think that as collecting and grading Magic cards gets more popular, this is the type of card that in a few years it's going to continue to increase in value. And it's a really popular card to play. There's not, I personally think that a lot of these that exist are getting used to play with. This is like the EDH powerhouse. You know, this people want to play with this card. And I think that the ones that you can find that are in just absolute perfect condition, and you keep them that way, it's gonna be like the Kaladesh invention was, 5 years ago. You know, people didn't appreciate those as much back then. There was a time when the prices on those were, you look at now, it would have been a great deal to pick those up. And I think that cards like this are going to follow a similar pattern. The other one here is Mox Amber. I know, another one. Who grades a Mox Amber? Well, you know what? I do. I graded 2 of them. This is from 2018 Dominaria. This is the foil version of the card. Now, this card is another one that so Throne of Eldraine was the first collector box, right? In 2018 Dominaria, there was no collector box. This was it. This is the ultimate version of this card that you can get. It's the oldest one, and it's the foil one. There's no box topper. There's no alt art. There's no sketch. There's no showcase frame. There's no retro border. There's no foil etch. Whatever. All this new stuff that they're doing. It didn't exist. This is the card. This is the first time the card was printed, and this is the foil version. And this one in particular is a quad 9/5. I paid $25 for this card a while ago. I have $25 in grading into the card, $50 into this card. I think it's a great card that's going to age well. And this is another one. Is it going to get reprinted? Yeah, it's going to get reprinted. But the original printing, the primo version, in perfect condition, I think it's a Mox. It's a Mox. I think cards like this are going to age well. Those iconic cards that come out, they change formats. They add a new power level. They're controversial stuff like that. I think is going to age really well, and I think that this is the type of card that in 5, 10, 15 years, people are going to look at back and say, wow, yeah, Dominaria. You remember back then, before collector boxes or even existed, or who knows what Magic will be doing at that point. And I think cards like this are going to be very collectible. I love the card. It's iconic, and I wanted to get it graded. I got a couple graded because I wanted to make sure that I had a 9/5. So I bought a couple. I bought actually, I think 3 or 4 copies of this card, and I really examined them and got the 2 best that I could find, and I submitted them, and I'm happy with both of them. I think they're both well worth what I paid, and I think they're going to age really well. So that's it. That's most of the cards. That's just about all the cards that I got back on this Beckett submission. Overall, I'm really happy with it. I felt like not only did I get good grades, but I felt like I got fair grades on all of the cards. There really weren't any that I like strongly disagreed with or anything. I think overall the grades were fair. So after waiting, like I said, for well over a year, to get the cards back in good, fair grades was just fantastic. Overall, I'm really happy with the order. It was tough to wait so long, and I really do hope that Beckett kind of figures something out with their process that makes this easier and faster. Because I think there's a lot of people who are getting into this. For myself personally, I've been playing Magic for 20 years or so before I even had a graded card. So I think that this kind of thing is just getting started. I think it's getting more and more popular, and I think that there's going to be a lot of people who collect a lot of things, and I think grading is going to become a special part of that. There's newer cards, there's older cards. There's something for everybody. There's something for every collector, and so I personally think that grading is going to get more and more popular, especially once the submission process gets ironed out with these companies. And these cards here that we went over today, I think represent what I like as a collector. I personally like diversity in my collection. I don't just collect one thing. I don't just collect vintage cards or power cards or Power 9 cards or newer cards. Like I like a lot of diversity in my collection. I think there's a lot of Magic made that's just iconic and beautiful, and that has a special place for me. So I think the cards that we went over today really represent that. And I'll probably do some more videos on other graded cards that I have. I have a lot more. I have a lot more vintage cards, some more heavy hitter cards. I'd like to talk about those one day. I do have other newer cards that I'd like to talk about too. I actually do have another Beckett submission that's coming back hopefully pretty soon. Should be in the next 4 to 6 months or so. We'll see when it comes back, but when that order comes back, I'd like to talk about that one too, and go through the cards that I submitted on that order. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope that there was something here for everybody, and I really like talking about this kind of stuff. There's really not too many people out there talking about graded Magic on a regular basis, but there's a big community of it. So I'd like to do more like this and get more people talking about it and things like that, because I love the hobby. I love collecting, and this is just a special part of it. And I think as more people get into it, they're going to appreciate it more, and it's just going to get that much more popular. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great one, and I'll see you next time.